All right, it is 1 p.m. Thank you guys for joining. My name is Giuseppe Marzelli. I am the co-founder of OvationCXM. Today, we're going to go over the Square Reseller program. Everything we go over today, the deck, the recording, all the information, I will make sure to email everybody who registered for this, whether they made it or not. They will get the recording, they will get the deck, they will get all the information, they'll get the contact information for all the wonderful people who are speaking today. Um, I know that these are a lot of sales orgs that are listening in, so we're going to get right to the point. So today, as most of you know, we're speaking about the Square reseller program and how ISOs, independent sales orgs, payment orgs, can now start selling Square, get residuals. And I have two guests with me, Pete Sloan from Square, which is obviously Block, and then Derek Hemney from Vivid Commerce. We'll get into why we have Vivid on here and why that's going to be helpful for you guys. And then I have Vinny Pellegrini also, who's just going to be answering questions in the Q&A. So if you have any questions specific to Square, so any questions about the Square devices, Square hardware, as Pete's talking about it, and something comes up, feel free to message and use the Q&A. He can answer some of those questions. Anything contract related, agreement related, pricing related, feel free to send us your email. We can send you any of that information right after. We'll touch on some of it. But real quickly, for everyone on, I just wanted to go through two products that are agnostic to our channel today. So the Vara product, if you are an ISO, I believe you can board with TSYS and actually any processor on the Deja Vu gateway. This is for scheduling and appointments. I have the sales at bookvara.com and bookvara for anything immediate needs, but feel free to reach out if you have merchants like med spas, barbershops, anyone who's really taking scheduling and appointments. That's been a good new product on the ISO front. Again, agnostic, so you can bring your own processing. And also, it does work with, as I mentioned, the P series of the Deja Vu hardware. So really just good solution that anyone who needs appointments and scheduling, if they don't want to, pay for crazy fees like for MindBody or maybe Vigaro. So again, feel free to reach out to that team if you have any immediate needs. And then on the other side, we have Green Card for cannabis payments and cashless ATMs. Feel free to reach out to Jackson. This has been a product that's been taking off and doing really well with our cannabis merchants. It is completely compliant. It's actually, when you download the Green Card app, you add your bank account, so it's bank transfer, and it is not credit card processing. But they have the cashless ATMs. There are some programs that are working for certain cannabis shops, but the Green Card application is really good if you have any high risk or cannabis shops that want to start taking payments other than cash. They can do online ordering, and they can do in-store payments again through that Green Card application. Think of it like kind of like a Venmo or a PayPal. So again, just two products that we'll probably do a webinar in the near future, but I want to just highlight them now. If there's any immediate needs, again, feel free to reach out to these contact or the contact information I have here. Again, all this information I will send out after this webinar. But next up, I'd like to introduce Pete from Square. Obviously, why you guys are all here. So Pete, do you mind introducing yourself? I think you're on mute. You're saying all the wonderful things. There
You
we
missed
go.
that's Pete Sloan from Square. I've been in payments for 18 years, 2007, 2008. So 18, 19 years. I've only been at Square for 7, 8 months. But I handle business development. So I work on kind of onboarding some of our newer partners and getting them up to speed and whatnot. So happy to be on the call and answer some questions and give you an idea what the program's all about.
Awesome, Pete. Well, thanks for joining. There's been a lot of buzz around the Square reseller program. I was a little bit skeptical at first. I didn't really understand what it was. Had talked to a lot of ISVs before, and they were always talking about can we get introductions to all these ISOs and agents, and then they just wanted to give a rev share on the software, which is just not the bread and butter of these payment orgs. So this program is pretty neat. So we're going to go into detail. At first, if you don't mind, Pete, I'd love to talk a little bit about the ecosystem, let me go down. Sorry. What Square is offering. So before we go into kind of the commercials agreement and how you can get started, what is Square really offering? And I think that we can just start kind of this ecosystem slide of all these wonderful products and tools. But I can kind of cruise through this as you're speaking about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd like to tell the story of why Square, after 16, 17 years, Square has gotten into the reseller world, right? Because everybody asked that question, and I think it's important that everyone on this call kind of know it, because it's how you really kind of sell the relationship to go win business. And the reason is Square has been around, 15, 16 years. They've signed up 4.5 million merchants without salespeople. So that just tells you that like Square has done an incredible.
Did I lose him or did you lose me?
We lost Pete.
I think we
Oh,
lost
it must
Pete.
be. It's good freeze frame though. There, I got you back. Okay.
Uh, everybody on this call can probably attest to like selling against Square. The number one thing that you've always probably all said is like, there's no service, right? Nobody's going to answer your phone. Nobody's going to show you how to use the software. Nobody's going to, explain the rates. Nobody's going to do like what we all do, right? And service these merchants. So Square realized like for them, there's only so many merchants that are just going to go to a website and figure it out. So for them to go up market and continue to grow, what better way to do that than partner with people that, have been doing this for forever, right? Their whole career, right? To fill that gap of service and support. And so that's kind of the why of why the reseller channel. So the technology itself is far greater than I think most people on this call, and certainly myself when I first started, I didn't realize the amount of technology that Square has available. There's like full retail solution, right? Software which you see out in the field. There's full quick serve solution, full serve restaurant solution. There's a services software as well, which is like think about like scheduling, creating estimates, invoices, like everything involved in that. You see it like contractors, HVAC, plumbing, but you also see it a lot in like salons and massage places, right? To manage their bookings and scheduling and multi users for like salons, like that sort of thing. So that's a very, very awesome software that I feel like is undersold. But there's also like Square's API, which I didn't realize this either, is like maybe half of Square's business is just integrated payments, right? Like, so they have an open API, completely public and open API. And there's thousands of software companies that go and integrate payments just to Square, just for payments. So it's them running their own software using Square for payments. So ultimately it's just like using Square as a gateway, right? Think about it that way. And so there's an opportunity there with software companies that either have done an integration with Square and just like processing with somebody else, to board them on Square, or you go to a software company and you can introduce Square to them and be the salesperson that manages payments for them. There's also all the ancillary services of Square that include like banking, so there's free checking, free savings with Square with instant funding if they're banking with Square. So when I say instant funding, I'm talking about like 5 to 7 minutes that money's available. So they run a card, right now within 5 to 7 minutes, that money's available on a debit card to go use, right?
Yeah.
Or they can go get, cash out for an ATM machine.
And can they do instant funding, like instant batch out, basically? Like, can I pay more for that? So if I processed X amount during the day and I want to have instant funding, can I do that? And pay like a percentage fee, or how does that work?
If it's a third party bank account, yes. I think it's a 1% fee is what the charge is. But yeah, I mean, there's no cost to bank with Square, and you can schedule daily transfers to a third party bank account without any additional fees. There's payroll, like full payroll services, like replace ADP payroll. There's buy now, pay later. Square bought a buy now, pay later solution out of Australia called Afterpay years ago. So, any bigger ticket items, Square Afterpay is enabled. There's, gift loyalty built into everything Square does. There's loans. So there's so much that exists within the Square ecosystem that is like first party that we do in-house, that covers, 95% of small to medium-sized businesses. And then, if there's a gap in functionality, there's integrations that solve for that gap, more often than not. So it's quite a bit to learn, but I think Square's kind of simplicity and transparency makes it pretty easy to like wrap your head around.
Yeah, and I think the all in one. So again, if I'm going to go sell like what this group is good at, if I'm going to go sell a point of sale or payment terminal, I can enable some of these banking services and some of these instant funding services, and it's all built in to the platform. And from what I understand, the resellers get a piece of that as well. We obviously we can go over kind of what the processing residual is, but do they get a piece of the loans if they set up a loan with a merchant, instant funding, anything like that?
Yeah, as of right now, we're kind of doing this as like a trial, right? To see if some of these ancillary services get sold more.
Yep.
So now, right as of right now, yes, we are sharing in a small piece of those ancillary services. I mean, to be honest with you, like money's made on payments. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
where 99% of the revenue comes from. Like if a merchant takes a loan, like a Square loan, there's a little something there. But like, banking's free, right? So there's no revenue there to share in. If they take advantage of payroll, then there's a little bit of money there, but it's just to incentivize you guys. But the real money is made in the payments piece.
Yeah, but I had one question people are asking, like, who's the backend processor? Square owns and operates its own payment processing platform, and they actually are their own bank as well. So they already did their banking license, so they own and control almost all of it, which is great. So Block Inc., the parent company, is basically the payment facilitator for all of it.
We are the original PayFac, right? And so
Yep.
Square has one master account that rolls everything under, right? And so the beauty of that for you guys on this call is like merchants are auto boarded. Like I don't know if you guys have ever set up your own Square account, but it's as easy as you're ever going to experience in this business. Is you basically just create a username, password, answer a few questions, average ticket, monthly volume, social, tax ID, business type, link your bank account, and it's a live mid, right then and there. So like you could walk by a coffee shop that's putting up their installing their espresso machine. They haven't opened yet, and you could say, hey, have you set up your merchant account? No, we open tomorrow though. We need to. So you could walk in and set up that merchant account, turn on a terminal, sign into the account you just created. It's a live account they can use right then and there. So onboarding is, I mean, I've been doing this for 19 years. The onboarding experience is as good as it's possibly going to be.
And it's quick, which is great. You guys board quickly, and of course, if there's any issues with the customer, they'll call it out. But from what I've seen, you guys can board merchants fairly quick, which is great.
Yeah.
Now for this program, and again, the slides that I'm going through right now, I just wanted to kind of go through them slowly. Just you will have access to these, but just more to make sure that you guys know that you have all this information. I'll give you all of this, but we built this deck specifically for the reseller, so they just have really good information on the back end, the front end, the products, the hardware, all the different solutions, kind of how Square works as a company, how their platform works. They even have, if you guys have probably seen the Cash App, that's still under Block, the parent company. That integrates well with Square, so people they can pay with their Cash App, different things like that. But one of the pieces that I think that I really enjoy about Square is the Square hardware. It's affordable. You can go to Best Buy and grab a terminal. We've seen a lot of our resellers so far, like literally set up a merchant the same day because they drive to Best Buy and grab a smart terminal or one of the registers. But Pete, do you want to talk a little bit about the hardware and the versatility here and kind of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean it's unlike, provisioning one of these pieces of hardware is unlike, taking a Deja Vu device, PAX device, Valor device, right, and provisioning it. Basically, it's a little mini POS, right? And for the most part, like some of our resellers will create the account just like on a computer, or they'll sit with the merchant and do it on their phone, ready, and then just like they can build out the menu and build out like the dashboard within the system. So then when it's time to actually like activate and start running transactions, they turn on that device, use a device code to power it, and sign into their account, and it's all there. The dashboard, the POS software, the configurations sit in the cloud. And so it's as easy and simple as it gets. And like ordering hardware, there's multiple ways to do it. You can just go to our website, squareup.com, click on the hardware button. You'll see all the pricing in there. You add it to the cart, have it sent to your wherever. and then you can just like provision it as you sell accounts. You can go to Best Buy and buy stuff there. You can go to Amazon.com, buy it
And
there.
with like the Clover market, like you couldn't kind of provision a Clover device. Can you re-provision like a Square register with a new
Yeah,
account?
yeah.
Okay.
So it's proprietary to Square, but not who sold it or anything like that. So
Yeah.
we have partners that just like buy stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and we'll just like go provision it for a merchant that way. So there's all kinds of options.
And I think that's a good piece. And one thing that I do want to call out really early in this conversation today is that this reseller program is not made to go after existing Square merchants. If you do, that we're not going to allow it. So again, if a merchant is existing, unless they literally start a whole new company and they start a whole new bank, everything, we're not touching it. And so it's not even a conversation. It's something that we're not interested in even doing. We're not in the game of going and trying to flip existing Square customers. So this is to give you the opportunity to go and sell the merchants who are maybe on the fence and they don't really have that good in-person support, or that person in the neighborhood who actually can tell them about Square and tell them the wonderful things. Maybe they're still on the fence. I think that that's what Square is also looking for, is for more sales reps in the field who are payment experts, who are point of sale experts, and can get them over that curve. And so we've had nothing but success so far with our resellers and just seeing how many boardings there are. So it doesn't concern me that you're not allowed to go after existing, but I just wanted to kind of call that out quickly because I know that's gonna be a question for a lot of the resellers. But one of the things we've seen we see a lot of restaurants, we see a lot of retail. Now, from what I understand on restaurant and retail, you guys have your free version, as Square has always had, with your processing, right? You just pay the process, the merchant just pays the processing. But you can go upstream from that, and you do have a little bit more advanced restaurant and a little bit more advanced retail. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's pretty important as groups are going up against maybe Toast, Lightspeed, larger types of ISVs.
Yeah. So we have some of our top resellers are flipping like full serve restaurant or quick serve restaurant Toast accounts all day long. And if you go to our website, squareup.com, click on pricing, and you scroll down, you can see the different versions of software. There's 3 versions, right? There's the free, plus, and premium. And you scroll down, you're going to see all the functionalities associated with each plan, right? And so the $150, the premium plan, the way we do our SaaS billing, this is different, and this is kind of like one thing that makes us unique and gives you an advantage when competing with most SaaS companies, is the way we do our SaaS billing. It's based on per rooftop. So a merchant that's using Toast today, that's got 5 workstations, 4 handhelds, 2 kitchen displays, right? They're paying $50-$60 per workstation, right? So those 10, 5 workstations, 5 handhelds, those 10 devices add up to a sizable monthly fee for SaaS. The way Square works, they can have all those devices, and it's billed $150 per workstation, not $150 total, not per workstation. So there's going to be a SaaS play there, and the functionality of the software can it's very, very in depth. So I don't really want to speak to it on this call because there's a million scenarios that like make restaurants unique, and
Well, one thing I could say about, so as you guys know, OvationCXM, we're an agnostic company. We work with many different ISVs, and we've worked now with Square for over 12 years. And we've been doing installs for Square's team. And now we have training services and things like that. But what we found is that they have a really good offline mode. You guys are a really stable, robust product where like the merchant kind of never has any downtime. So one of the things that's really nice about once you install a Square for a restaurant or Square for retail is that offline mode is really powerful because they're their own bank. They can kind of run off their own tools and their own their own kind of platform there. But it's a very robust system, and I think that that's one thing that anybody who's selling payments can enjoy, is the ability to go in there with confidence and say, I have a system that's fairly robust. I don't have to sit here and worry about you falling offline and losing transactions.
That's where Square really does shine, is like the offline mode and the capabilities of that. For bigger venues that are turning a lot of transactions, you don't want to rely on like shoddy Wi-Fi. The offline mode is something that like we're able to win like big accounts because of that particular piece.
And then you guys have a lot of great marketing tools and you have tools for the actual customer, the merchant. So email marketing, coupon redemption, just different ways to push campaigns to the customers. Um, Anything you want to talk about here? Kind of different strategies that a lot of the merchants are using with your marketing platform today.
Yeah, good question. So Square launched a tool called Manager Bot, and it's basically like an AI tool that has, that sits within the Square's dashboard that has access to all the merchant's data. So that includes like inventory data, customer data, like how often people shop. It includes, loyalty data. So you can essentially just go to that manager bot and say like, create me a special using ingredients that are, going to expire in the next week. Create me a special item using those ingredients and create me a marketing campaign to send out, text or email to everybody that's shopped here in the past year. Give them a 25% off coupon on that particular item, right? And it'll capture all that data, inventory data, create a recipe for you, pull the data of people that have shopped there, and then create the coupon code and then send it out on their behalf. So it's basically like a full-time kind of employee that works for you that doesn't cost them anything. And
So they can like confidently get off MailChimp or like Constant Contact. It's like if I'm a merchant going with Square, I have really kind of the foundation set of tools that I need as a merchant to just get started in doing my marketing. Which I think
it's overwhelming, just like what it can do. You just kind of got to think about how to use it properly. Like,
yeah,
let's say tomatoes go up in price, right? It's like, and you can say like, hey, can you mark up these items by 4%?
Yep.
And it'll just automatically do it for you and change your menu for you.
And I want to jump over to the banking because that's a huge piece. I mean, once Square became its own bank and got its charter, I think at Utah, you guys unleashed a whole bunch of really cool tools. And so we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but the ability for these merchants to set up their own bank accounts with Square, get instant funding, Square looking at their transactions and offering funding based on the volume and based on kind of what they're already qualified for. The ability to have a Square card. You guys have done a lot here, so this is pretty neat. But anything you wanna highlight here for the resellers?
Yeah, I mean, I just think access to instant funding at no
It's
cost.
huge.
Yeah, I mean, that's everything, guys. Like I've been doing this a while. Like nobody else is offering instant funding like that. When I say instant funding, I'm talking like weekends and holidays as well. So, you could run a transaction on Sunday and they could access that money like a few minutes later. And so that's a key differentiator. As well, like if they're some of these integrated partners like DoorDash, Uber Eats. If they're banking with Square, I think those funds get paid out daily. Whereas if it's third party, DoorDash I think pays weekly. So merchants that are processing or have an integration with DoorDash get paid once a week. I mean, most of you guys realize merchants don't want to wait a week to get paid on that stuff. So if they're banking with Square, they can get funded daily.
And I'll just say a lot of these programs and software we're showing, Square does a really good job at internal marketing, so it can help the merchant kind of self sign up. As a reseller, what you're really good at is selling payment terminals, selling point of sale. I think it's really good to know of these services and get really familiar with them and talk to them, but you don't have to become experts on them. Square has a lot of great tools, and they do have support for the merchants and getting them up and running on these different tools like staff management, which is another one that they have already kind of built in for tax filing, just for simple employee scheduling, workers comp, all that kind of stuff. Again, you don't have to become experts on this stuff, but it's just good to know that it's there. And we talked a little about the marketing and how you can build like a loyalty program. So all these tools are available to your merchant. I think it's good to know about them. I think it's good to have kind of a decent knowledge in your head, but you don't have to become experts on them. And then on the Cash App Pay, how much is this taking off for Square merchants? Is this valuable to Square merchants that people using Cash App can pay with Cash App, or do you guys still see a lot of just transactions through, obviously, through credit cards?
Most people are paying with card, but I do know that like with if they end up paying with Cash App, like merchants get it like a significant pricing discount. I think it's
Okay,
like
that's kind of cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
1% or something. So there's significant discount in Cash App. I will tell you as well. Like I think Square lent $20 billion to merchants last year.
Yep.
And if you've come across a Square merchant that has a loan outstanding, you're never going to switch that merchant's never going to switch, right? They're
Yeah.
going to re-up that loan. So it'd be wise of you to sell that service to hang on to that merchant. So the lifetime of that merchant is probably going to be 3 times as long if they end up taking a Square loan that you with your account.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. And then there's Afterpay, Clear Payment. There's a bunch of different things, but I think one thing I want to call out: do you? And it's always going to be a common question with this group. Let me stop sharing for a second. Do you have dual pricing, cash discount? What are you doing for the resellers today?
Yeah, good question. So no dual pricing. So like showing two prices at the point of sale on every menu item. It doesn't exist in Square. Um, Cash discount, yes, right. And so like the price that's presented needs to be the card price, and there's a button to create a 4% discount on those transactions. We also have compliant surcharging, right? So it's a 3% fee on credit, and the merchant pays 3% on debit, right? So you have two options available: cash discount or compliant surcharging. That answers your question.
That does answer my question. I think it's just going to be a big question for
Yeah.
a lot of these, resellers and ISO. So I think we'll jump over, but right now we want to talk about some of the fundamentals, right? The part that a lot of people are waiting for is kind of how do I get started, and we're going to jump over to Derek here in a moment. But from what I understand, you guys aren't taking direct resellers. Well, you aren't taking any more right now because you basically have some pretty high commitments and volumes. But we have an option for all the groups here today that they can start literally selling Square this afternoon if they want. Um, but anything you want to add to that, Pete? I know that you guys are kind of closing off. You kind of said that you cast in that you have a good amount of resellers right now. You're closing that off, but we have an option, and we're gonna go through that in a moment.
Yeah. As of right now, we're done bringing on direct resellers. And kind of the beauty of Giuseppe, Derek, Vinny, and Vivid is they've been installing Square for 15 years, and they're more familiar with the technology than 99% of our other resellers, and that's they can certainly help you guys with some of these accounts that you're bringing on. That's an advantage really they have as a reseller, is they know the software and have the service to install some of these bigger accounts. So that's
So
kind
I'm
of
and I'm gonna and I appreciate that. I'm gonna jump over to back to my screen here just so you guys see that. But before I jump into introducing Derek, I saw some more questions. To sell Square is completely free. There's buyers. There's just an agreement. Derek's going to go through that. Square services. Square supports your merchant for free. There's no additional fees to support your merchant. We do have implementation, training, menu build, go live support services. We'll go through that at the end here, but those are available for an additional price, and we project manage that with you. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to Derek. Derek, they were one of the first resellers of Square. You can start selling to them today. It's no change in anything. You still get your residual, you still get everything, but they provide sales support. They help you with the implementation, go live, and they also provide you kind of custom links where you can basically have your merchant sign up and then go to bat for you. You want to be using your custom link. Square signs themselves up. We don't want to be having to put up a fight every single time if that was your merchant. So we'll build out these custom links for you. But I'm going to pass it over to Derek if you don't mind introducing yourself, and we can go from there.
Thanks, Giuseppe, and thanks, Pete. I'm Derek Henme with Vivid Commerce. Yes, like they said, we are one of the few Square resellers, and they've done a great job explaining the details of the Square product and why it's opening up now to the partners experience, but would love to just kind of first start with our experience and just explain like it's just been an amazing opportunity for us. Similar to Giuseppe, I saw that Square was opening partnerships and I kind of was like, that sounds weird. But as we started digging into it, it just makes total sense. I mean, if you're taking one of the premier technology solutions on the market now, I mean, and by that, I mean, you're mentioning Square every single time that you're trying to compete. You're saying, hey, well, compared to Square. So bringing that level of technology in and combining it with the hands-on kind of personal touch of the agent channel and who we are as salespeople, it's a marriage made in heaven. I mean, you can now bring your relationship-driven experience, the local experience, and combined with really a technology that, in my opinion, is unparalleled in a lot of different facets. So just that alone has been a really great opportunity for us, and I see it as a great opportunity for you guys. Um, Details around like how to get
Eh,
started and all that.
Or Derek, did you want to share your screen or anything? I can stop sharing mine.
Honestly, I don't. It's not super necessary. I think like
Okay, yeah, no worries. I'll just keep this on here though.
yeah. We have a little slide deck. If you guys want to learn more after this and want to meet with our team, we can share that, and it kind of goes into a little bit more depth. But for the purpose of this call, just wanted to explain our the experience we're having, and then also just a little bit about like how to get started. Um, What's great about getting started with Square is it's just really easy. As Pete and Giuseppe were saying, like when you sign up a merchant, they are live. And when they want their hardware, they can either get it simply shipped to them within a couple days, or they can go down the street and pick it up at Best Buy that same day. And we've had a lot of merchants boarding recently, and we just had a big clam festival we were talking about earlier in the thing, and the guy had 4 terminals ready to roll and needed a fifth. The morning of the event, he picked up a fifth and was programming it in the car, and by the time that he got to the festival, it was live. So it's that easy. Um, in terms of signing up with us and actually starting to board Square merchants, we also try and make that as easy as possible for you guys. We make it very clean in terms of our partnership. All the necessary protections that you're going to want to see with your residual are there, lifetime, all that. I've heard through the grapevine of different Square resellers talking about 12-month residuals, and that's all, and no bonuses, and all kinds of things. And so you're not going to have that limitation with us. We are very straightforward with the comp plan, and we're very fair about it too. So obviously, if you are interested, we'll go into a lot more detail on that front. But alongside great comp and great technology, you also have the services piece that Giuseppe was talking about. The pushing the product is one thing, but if you get yourself into larger opportunities, you're still going to want that help. Get it on site, doing the networking, installing the hardware, the training, the menu build, obviously the support. That's something that I think Pete will attest to is the Square is not going to provide that necessarily for you guys directly. If you're signing up as a Square reseller, you're signing up to do everything else with it, be a full POS team. And luckily, from the Vivid perspective, we've been in the point of sale game for a while. We've got teams that have trained and are ready to roll with that kind of setup. So we are equipped and ready to kind of handle all of the services part, from sales enablement all the way to onboarding and go live. So definitely providing a lot of value there for you on that front. All right, Giuseppe, I think that's pretty much it, unless you've got any questions for me that you think people would
Nope, we got
benefit
some
from.
questions coming through. So again, the real easy way to do this is you sign an agreement with them. You're not tied to them in any way that you're basically just now, they'll make you a Square reseller. They'll give you your own sign up link where you can submit, basically merchants. Once that's submitted, their team will help condition to make sure that it's going through correctly. And then you go live. A lot of Square is easy. You can self sign up self set up and get a merchant up and running. But again, those services for like, as Pete was talking, if you're converting maybe like a Toast, a merchant using Toast, like probably good to do a site survey and figure out what's needed. Do they have it's not the Square product I'm ever worried about. It's the merchant environment. Do they have, the network infrastructure that they need to be supporting these terminals? Toast may have set up on their own switches in a very unique way of setting up their ubiquity in different APs, and we need it to be different. So I think for the bigger accounts, it's always good to just submit a work order. There's the squareresellers.com where you can submit work orders, and then they basically will reach out and do a site survey with you and figure out what's needed to get that merchant up and running. Other things, we can't do US territories today, so no US territories, but there are additional countries that you can sell in. Do either of you guys want to speak about that? I know that there's Canada, the UK, Japan.
Canada, UK, Ireland,
Japan.
Spain, France, Australia, and Japan.
Yep. And I can add a little color into that. So where we're helping out a lot is when you are doing Square in one of these countries, typically you would need certain things like an entity in that country or a bank account or something, a business number. We're cutting that red tape for you. So we are establishing the necessary foundations in each country so that if you do have opportunities in different countries, that you can just start selling right off the bat. We had an agent group in Guam who had a lot of connections in Japan. And so we've got like our first multi-location chain in Japan starting to submit here soon. So international is a lot of great opportunity there.
And then, Vinny, can you put your email in the chat too? One way, if you guys want to get that agreement today and kind of get going, shoot me an email. You have Derek's email here too. There's also sales at Hello Vivid. Again, you're getting the full rev share on the residual. There's no buy rates or anything like that. So there's no cost to get started. There's no minimums. Square has turned off working with resellers direct right now, other than the groups that they've had going, just because they're working with groups that, one, have sales support, one, have implementation services, not just someone who's going to go sling terminals and just hope for the best. They really want to make sure that their merchants are treated the right way all the way through, which is respectful. But feel free to reach out to these guys to get that agreement today. They can tell you about the rev share, how that works. It's fairly high. It's higher than I thought it would be. Again, working with a lot of the ISVs, they just always, they always want to, help give, software revenue, which just isn't, in line with what a lot of the groups that are on this group work for. There's also a lot of incentives right now. There's some fairly decent cash prizes in the thousands if you go sell merchants of certain tiers. So there's a lot of cash prizes right now, which is great. The Vivid team will tell you about that. And then the hardware is fairly affordable. As we talked about, you can go to the local stores and get that. I'm just seeing some more questions. Can you guys sell in Germany, Pete? Or can they sell in Germany? I don't think so, right?
No.
Answer that live. Square Facebook ad is offering to save us 5,000 on hardware.
I'd be happy
there's
to
a Square Facebook. If there's a Square Facebook ad offering to save thousand, like if you see something particular, just feel free to run it by the Vivid team. They can work with Pete. And I don't know. Square's a fairly massive company. They have marketing teams for all different channels. So if you see something that's unique and you're interested in just send it by us and we'll filter it through and see if there's anything that's available to you. But there, as I mentioned, through Vivid right now, there's a lot of cash prizes. There's a lot of upfront, bonuses right now.
Yeah, I'd be happy to tease a little bit of the bonus stuff. With Square accounts alone, as long as the merchant's processing above $750,000 a year, which nets out to be around $63,000 a month, we pay you, the agent, a $2,000 signing bonus, and Vivid covers the equipment cost up to $1,000. So that could be a full register, it could be multiple terminals. So that's right now going through the end of August. And if it ends up being successful and we're getting a lot of deals because of that, then the goal is to hopefully expand or extend that. This also plays into the bigger Vivid ecosystem of bonuses and things that we have. So there's additional bonuses based on volumes that you can unlock. And it also comes with, we have a tiered approach in our bonuses that once you hit this final kind of club tier, we have an annual trip that you guys are all invited to. If you hit these tiers, the whole trip is paid for. This year we did New Orleans, and upcoming next year we're doing Costa Rica. So there's extra perks beyond just the dollar money, the dollar amount, which is always nice. But we also want to see you guys in person too.
And then I had Keith had a great question. Does Square offer custom pricing for larger merchants? Do you want to talk about that? I know that there's kind of different tiers, and if you get to a certain point, the flat rate might change. So what does that look like today, Pete?
Yeah, you would. The short answer is yes. I mean, there's certain kind of minimums based on the volume that the merchant's doing. But yes, custom pricing is available. Just work with a partner manager to change, to update that pricing and to be competitive to win the business.
Other questions? I see that we've answered a lot in the chat. So I'm just going to go through a little bit. The warranty information, it's public. You can see what the warranty information is. We don't really set those rules. So I believe if you just go, you can just Google basically hardware. Vinny put it in the answer one of the questions there, but I can even throw it in the chat. But you guys can go over kind of what the, sorry, I'm trying to find it. Where's the chat? There it is. That's the hardware warranty. Again, that's all controlled by Square Direct. We don't have any way to help with that. There are marketing resources. There are sales tools. Once you get in contact with Vinny or the Vivid team, they will give you, and you sign up, they'll give you all of that. There's like video libraries. There's a lot of great things, and they will start adding you to a lot of the trainings that are happening weekly. I think there's a few trainings a week. And so you can get as involved as you want. If you want them to jump on your merchant demo, obviously within reason, they can start doing that. I just say within reason, so it's not for every single, like a one-off barber who's just, using a dongle. But if it's a restaurant, retail, absolutely, they can help with that. Do we have the pricing of what it is today what is the rate right now for the merchant?
I think it's 260 and 15 cents a transaction.
The 2.6% and plus 15 cents. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that is the rack rate pricing. Yeah, it's
Okay.
2.6 and 15 for card present. Yeah, squareup.com/pricing, and you'll.
Yeah. So it's going to be the same pricing for you guys. There's no discounts or anything like that. And then one more time, Pete, if you just talk about it again, we don't have dual pricing, but what do we have available for the resellers?
Cash discount. So like a discount of, say 4% on cash transactions, or compliant surcharging. Or if your merchant wants to charge, like I say, a 4% service fee, having nothing to do with card, service fee. So you really, like, to be compliant, you need to charge that service fee to cash transactions as well. That can be enabled. I do want to tell you guys, a lot of people on this call are probably used to selling based on price, like Interchange Plus, negotiating PCI fees, and all this other stuff. You don't have to do that with Square, and our most successful resellers are not selling on price ever. It's not part of the conversation, because they're selling the technology itself and how the technology solves problems for the merchants. Price is never brought up because merchants know the price. Square's been so public about the price. They have a frame of reference. They understand it, and they don't negotiate. So there's no need to go to the floor negotiating price when selling Square merchants. Focus on the value that the technology brings and how it can solve problems. I promise you, you will win business if you focus on those things and don't talk about price.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy.
Come up in our it's never an issue selling at the rack rate. So that's just a proof to your point. Is like they're good.
And what I have up here is the link. This is what they would white label for you over at Vivid. So you have your own kind of like Square sign up link, and then when you go in here, you can do it for them, and you can just choose the standard or the cash discount, and then put in some notes, and then they'll basically get that merchant under your entity or under your name. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about what does it look like for the reseller reporting right now? And I know that it's still, a lot of it's still kind of being built out, but there is some available. So what does it look like from once I'm a reseller under, let's say, Vivid, and I just start signing up some merchants? How do I get information on those residuals and really kind of what's going on with my merchants?
Yeah, so that's something we have been building for the past 60 days. So that's one thing we've really lacked is having like a board or a reporting tool. But we launched version 0 of it like a month ago, and that basically includes like activations, your portfolio, kind of some like risk notes if there are risk related issues. But it's really kind of there to like see who signed up, whether and like have they activated. We are releasing a new UI in the next like couple weeks, which is going to have real-time data and it's going to like give you access to like where the merchant's at in the sign up process, right? It's like, have they linked their bank account? Have they activated? Like, are there risk related issues? Are we still waiting to hear back from the merchant on like answering certain questions? So it'll give that kind of information. Like agent reporting access, we're building that. It's not available yet, but I will tell you, like, we launched version 0 of this thing like a month ago. The speed at the way Square builds things is staggering. Because 3 months ago the portal was an idea, and it took 60 days for us to create like a pretty clean portal to get everybody access to it. So it happens very quickly.
And some of you might already have a direct agreement with OvationCXM. If you do, great. And then you can just submit work orders for field services. But if you don't need to have an agreement. You don't need to pay a minimum to our team. You can just use voyages for these services right here: installation, networking, menu migration, on-site training, online training, and then break fix. And so what you do is you go in here, you fill out a form. This doesn't mean anything gets started. What this does just sends a work order. The project manager will reach out and just go over everything with you. Be like, hey, Derek, looks like the merchant wants an on-site installation in Dallas and they want on-site training. That's a little bit more expensive. We got to get a tech there. Here's what it is. If you just want their installation, it'll be more less expensive. We also want to figure out how's so they'll go through it all with you guys. I would say this is a great service for larger merchants, retail, restaurant that don't have a lot of confidence, or they're coming off another system. I hate more than anything in the world when people are like, well, the previous point of sale installed my network and my cabling. It's like, that might be great. It might be, they might have done a great job, or they might have done a terrible job, or they might have had their own unique static IP firewall that, makes it super complex. So this is a great service just to, use and have in your back pocket. But again, this link, same as easy as the link that they're going to create for you to sign up your merchant. You fill this out, project manager reaches out to you, and they basically build out a plan with you. Your budget, do you want the merchant to pay? Do you want to pay for the merchant? But we actually have a big job in this week. We had another one submitted. I think there was one in Tennessee, there was one in Dallas. That's why I brought that up. And both those jobs are fairly large. And so I think it gave the merchant a lot of confidence that they're going to have a expert team. And again, the services are going to be done by OvationCXM. We've been supporting Square for now almost 12 years. So we know what to look for, what works, what doesn't work. And again, you can always reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm going to put my email in here in the chat again. But again, you don't need an agreement with OvationCXM. You can just use that one-time work orders. And so to get started today, as we mentioned, shoot Vinny or Derek an email. They'll show you the rev share. They'll give you the agreement, and you can start literally today. They have basically a link that's very universal to submit merchants, but then they'll start to use some custom links. I think after your first or two merchants, they'll start to build a little bit more customization. And Derek already went over some of the cash bonuses that are very generous, and some of the other incentives that are great. So again, this isn't you can always reach out to Pete, but he's going to tell you the direct resellers closed off right now. What they're doing is they're just working with the resellers they have right now. That doesn't mean you're getting any less services. It actually means you're getting more. You're working with a group that understands the sales support, the menu build, the menu transfer. They're going to give you a line of services that you're going to need if you're selling a new product. So you can literally start selling this today with confidence. I'm just going through any of the other questions, anything else. But yeah, thank you guys for submitting some of the information here, and those who are interested. We got all your information, and we'll definitely be reaching out. Again, anyone who is on this webinar who registered, even if you didn't attend, I'm going to send the recording. I'm going to send the deck. We're going to send all this information to you. I have the Square Reseller deck we went over lightly, which is basically all the wonderful features. Vivid will have their own deck of what it's like being a reseller and how that works, the reporting and all that. The reporting will get better for you as if the resellers were working hand in hand with Square to make that like super compelling and really easy to understand. But the Square team has done a great job, and I mean that. Like it was one of those things that when they told me they were doing it, I was a little bit I was a little bit like, is this really going to be beneficial for the ISO and the agent market? And it has been nothing but a success. We've just seen a lot of the resellers just signing up a ton of merchants, and we've been helping with those implementations, and it's been nothing but a great experience. So again, feel free to reach out if they need anything. I think that's it for today. So I really appreciate everybody joining, And you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you,
Yeah,
Derek.
thanks, guys.
Thank
Have
you,
a good day.
everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.